What is up, good people? Today is Thursday, April 2nd, 2026. Today, I am on a mission to find the best Bitcoin trading bot that I can find for 2026. But before we get started with that, I wanted to give you a quick update on my actual live bots. I don't personally have a Bitcoin bot set up at the moment because the returns on the XRP bots is quite a bit more attractive. So, no, I don't have anything against Bitcoin. I like Bitcoin. I bought my first one in 2013. So, I wanted to update you on the Some Bot Profit. I have officially broken over the 10% ROI with my oldest bot being 5 months and 22 days old, and then ranged all the way up until 30 days and 30, 20, oh, almost 20. So it's officially a month old, that HBAR bot that I set up. Okay, anyway, let's get moving on to finding the best Bitcoin bot, trading bot for 2026. So what I've got here set up first is a DCA bot on our Bitscap trading platform. And if you want to get started with this Bitscap setup, you can see a referral link in the description. Copy and paste that or click it if it's hyperlinked. I'm not verified. But I have been using Bitscat for 4, 5 years. I always forget. Late 2021. Okay, so we've created a DCA bot with the settings like we always do with 1,000 here, and then going down to manual adjustment, starting the base order amount with 31.25 and the averaging orders amount at 968.75. So those two numbers added together equal 1,000. These DCA bots can be started with as much as you want, but they need to be at least $1,000. So I start them up with 1,000 here, and then you can scroll this, bar up to change that amount as much as you want, or it can. But I also don't like to put all my eggs in one basket either. So you can see I've got 17 bots going right now. Okay, so moving on, we've got our averaging orders quantity 5. That's the 5 limit orders that it gives us here. And the distance between those limit orders is 7%. Okay. And then the amount multiplier is slid all the way to x2, which doubles the amount on each of these lines. And the step multiplier is off because that just creates more distance. So I manipulate the averaging order step percentage rather than the step multiplier. So the next thing we're going to do is check down to the position take profit and stop loss. We don't use a stop loss, but we do want to take profit. That's how we make money, right? And for this bot, I've got it set at 5. And then this is defaults out at the average price. Then in our risk management drop down, we will toggle off pump dump protection. Okay, so what I've done here is you can see I've already ran a 365-day back test, and it's produced a 12.17% APY on Bitcoin. So that's pretty impressive. Um, the typically uh, the ones I've run in the past, of course, setting them up on different days changes it, but 365 back test going from the day back until April 2nd, April 1st, April 2nd, um, gives us a 12.17% APY. And the other thing I look for with these back tests is I like to see a lot of activity. So here I've got a little bit of a naked chart going on without any of these buy or sells. It's sometimes hard to see the sells because they show up as red, because as soon as the bot sells, it immediately buys 31.25 and restarts itself. But I like to see more activity than this typically, but this is as good as I could get it while also having the continuation and a pretty decent return. 12% is pretty damn good. But you can see here we went from June 6th to July 8th. So you want a month with no activity. So It's not ideal in my mind to have that long of time. And then this part is even worse. August 1st to October 5th. So you went August, September, October before seeing your next sell. And this sell was only um actually let's I don't always go through these. I'm just curious how long you had to wait and how much you made on this. Let's see. So July, August 1st. Uh, I didn't have this planned, so thank you for your patience. Okay, so with starting this bot out at $1,000, and it had purchased twice. Nope. Um, well, a few times in July. It sold and then restarted itself. And then you had to wait until October 4th for that last or for that sale order that got you $3.11. So if this was $10,000 bot, that would have been 30 bucks. And then here is a good one. A month later, because we went down, let's see, yeah, a month later in November, it became fully vested because we have our six, it immediately buys $31 dollars worth and then buys 31, then 62, then 120, and so on until it gets up to fully vested. So then once it was fully vested and it ended up selling on November 28th, these dates are the international format, but then it finally paid you 50 bucks. So that could have been 500 bucks if this was a $10,000 bot. You get the point. Okay, so but like I said, the one of the other more important things, this is the good return is number one priority, obviously, but the second is actually the continuation. So after 365 days and going through all of this bullshit we had to do in November into October and then January into February, it still has continued on and it will continue on, and you'll be protected in this bot down to 46 thousand. So it could go all the way flash down to 46, and then as soon as it pops up 5% above your a dollar cost average, it's going to take profit and reset those lines again. So that's the other thing I look for. So this is pretty damn good for Bitcoin, but maybe not necessarily the best settings for 2026. I'm going to move to this next tab, and what I did here was I played around with the grid bot. So you can see this is a grid bot versus a DCA bot. So with this, you set up a grid, um, and the way that I've found some pretty decent returns setting grid bots up is I go back to that day that I would have started this off a 365-day backtest, and I measure down. If you watch my video the other day on Litecoin, that's the first one I did on this, where I actually measured down 50% on Litecoin, but Bitcoin's a little less volatile. So I measured 35 up and 35 down. It's hard to get the exact, but you get the point. And so then I clicked and dragged my high price and my low price down to those markings. Um, and I dragged the high price up a little higher so that my last sell order is placed at that 50 or 35% above at that time, the current price of 81. So you can see, in this case, we've gone up to 126 and then back down to 60 and then waddled throughout here. And then you can see the 365-day backtest. So here, let me take you through these settings. This is also $1,000 just to compare apples to apples. Typically, I like to set these up with more than $1,000. And one of the things that I like about these and why I still use them is because they are easier to take money out of without closing the bot. I don't know if there's a way with the DCA bots, but I don't think so. But there is definitely an easy way to do it with these grid bots, because what you can do is you could go into modify your bot. It's down in this area once you've actually have it started, and you can uh, take these lower limit buy orders out if you needed some cash. So if you needed some cash and you didn't have enough in your USDT, USDC, in your stable wallets from these bots, you could take some out of this bot without stopping it. And then you can also put it back later when you have more from your other bots. Okay, so um, you can ignore the low price, high price unless you have specific prices. What I just did is I dragged my click and drag these up and down to match up with my percentages here. And then as far as the grid step percent and the grid levels goes, um, it'll default you at 100 on Coinbase. Kraken, I think last time I checked, it would only let you put in 80 grid levels. So 50 was a decent um, middle ground to get a good return, and then also have, in this case, with $1,000, you're going to have $20 of buy orders on each of these lines. So each one of these buy order lines is or the dollar amount on each of these lines is $20. So um, it's going to buy $20 when it goes down, and it's going to sell 20 point whatever. It's going to be point one and a half, basically 1.5% more. So once that previous buy has made 1.5%, it's going to sell and put that 31 cents or whatever it ends up being in this bot here. Let's do our back test and you'll see 35 cents. So each time it sells, it's going to make you 35 cents. And it's not a lot, but it buys and sells all day long, every day. And whether you're sleeping, eating, pooping, um, all the time, it's buying and selling, buying and selling, buying and selling. And it's set up so it only sells at a profit once you've made that 1.5% profit. And that's after the trading fee too. So, um, okay, so you can see this bot had a lot of activity, of course, because each time it moves that 1.5%, it's going to buy and or sell. The other thing I wanted to point out, let's go back to here. You see, when I set this grid up here from these percentage um, increase and decrease here, it only took us up to 112, right? But with this trailing up, which defaults on, it'll automatically, as price goes up, it'll automatically take out the lower buy orders and then place a buy order and then sell it when it goes up to or 1.5% above that line. So that's why when you see in the back test, it didn't go, it went up as high as the high price, right? And then what that did, because it eliminated those lower buy orders, is it actually increased it from around 50 some percent or 50 some thousand to just still barely catching that um that dip that we got on the 5th. And the graph currently doesn't give it justice because it would have made multiple purchases and maybe even sells on the way down. Because if it bounced up and down throughout this daily candle here, it's going to buy and sell all the way down. And then it did the same thing here. Bot sold, bot sold, bot sold. Mainly sold on this line. So on that day, you made quite a bit more. And let's see. I wanted to make this video shorter, but I'm finding more and more things to blab on about. So October 10th. Did I go back too far? Let's see. No, 3, 3, 1. There's a um, lot more orders, buys and sells on these grid bots. But yeah, you can see here on the 5th, it bought all the way down, sold, and maybe made you, let's see, between the 6th or the 5th and the 6th, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Okay. So even if you just, it was 21. Let's do some quick math here. I'm not going to show it on the screen because I'll just pull out my calculator. So in those 2 days, it made $7.35. But that's with $1,000. So if you had $10,000, that's $70 in 2 days for doing nothing. So um, it's not maybe not a whole lot of money, but it's definitely more than you're going to get in your bank. So and then I have these other lines set up where if you were to set this bot up today and take it down by the same percentage and up by the same percentage, it's going to give you protection down to 40K, 41K, 41, 42. So I haven't heard a lot of people. I don't really listen to a whole lot of technical analysis guys. One or two, mainly BCB, blockchain backer. And I don't think he said anything about it going that low. I think he is more in the line of it going in the maybe the lower 50s if we get it, depending on what this accumulation schematic ends up looking like. But anyway, that's what those lines are. So, but these may not still be the best settings for 2026 because hopefully we are towards the lower range of this and going to have more upside than we have downside at this time. Where here, I guess we have just about as much about a year ago, we have almost as much upside as we have downside. So hopefully we're more on the upside than or heading up than heading down. So what I did was I um, set up the same DCA and GridBot settings and then tried to find the because I can only go back a year, right? So I went back to the April 2nd, and that was been basically the bottom of the previous, not the previous 6 months, but the 6 months before that, because that was the tariff crash, and then it went nothing but up until October 5th. And it looks like maybe yeah, October 5th was the high. So you can see the DCA bot that I had set up with the exact same settings that I showed you earlier. And that 6 months, because it's 186 days, so a little bit more than 6 months, it only made 2.4%. And I'm not super happy with that. So, and here you can just verify real quickly. You can slow the video down if you want, and you can see that I use the exact same settings that I did on the yearly bot to get that 12.17% APY. So what I did was I did the same thing. I've got that same 186-day time frame here, but I changed up my bot settings and I became a little bit more aggressive. So instead of having a 7% spread in between these lines, I went to 2%. And I ranged all the way down to 1.5, 2, 2.5, 2, 3, 3.5, 4, 4.5. And the lower, at least for this time range, right, from October 2nd to October 5th, you can see it here, October or April 4th to October 6th. So maybe not exact, but you get the point. It's going to be pretty similar timeline from that other DCA bot that only got 2%. And you can see the back test that these settings have got are 17.76. So, oh, and then the other thing I changed, I was just playing around with this. I was seeing what I would, how much it would change by adjusting the price change percent. And then I don't always say this in every video, but this is the only metric, the take profit percent. This is the only metric you can change after you set up the bot. So if you wanted it to wait to take profit until it got to 5% or 6%, you could do that at any time after you set up the bot. And then my pump dump protection is also off. Okay, so you can see here when I do my back test, it is only for those 186 days between October or April 4th and October 6th. But I am seeing a lot more activity. And then, of course, in that 6 months, getting 17 point, and I stopped playing around with the settings when I saw 1776 because I just, that's an awesome number, of course. But uh, I like the activity that I saw here, and of course the return. I love that. So an extra $177 from $1,000 investment in 6 months is pretty good. So I think, oh, you know what? That I messed up my order. I showed you the best already. But if you wanted to see the if you wanted to see the back test from the grid bot. So uh this is why I'm saying that this DCA bot is going to be the best bot for 2026 because I'm thinking we're closer to the bottom than we are to the top of over the next 365 days, right? I think most people are probably on that thought right now. So um that puts us in more of a place where we're maybe looking to go more aggressive on these bot settings. And another good thing with the DCA bot settings is you can set up as many of the DCA bots on a single pairing as you want. So you can set it up with all these and then change the stagger the averaging order step percent. That's what I did with my XRP bots a while back. And I went like every half step. So 2, 2.5, 3, 3.5, 4, 4.5. You set those up, and then that'll give you a higher return on the more aggressive ones, but then it's going to give you a better protection um, on the less aggressive. So this one with the 7% averaging order step, it gives you a lower or better protection on the downside. So let's go through the GridBot settings. And I made sure to copy and paste the low and high price and made sure my step percentage and my grid levels were the same as I had on that original grid bot that got me 9.38%, which is pretty damn good for the year. But in the case of that 186 days of between October, well, I always want to say October, between April 4th and October 6th, so the same time frame we've been looking at to try to find the best one for 2026. And this bot only produced 3.5%. So it's better than the original DCA bot settings with that 7% spread, but still not very impressive when you consider that it went up. What was that? I can't do the percentage change in my head. Let's see here. It went up from 80 something to 120. So what's that? 50%. So it went up 50%, but you only made 3.5 or 3%. But like I said, like I say a lot of times in the videos, is you're never going to catch the bottom and never going to catch the top. So where these bots will take out all the emotion, and all you got to do is set them up and sit back, relax, do your other stuff, and then get paid. Okay, so hopefully that helps you in your bot journey. And like I said, if you want to get started, the referral link is in the description. That will definitely help out the channel. But the other thing that'll help is if you like the video, give me a thumbs up. If you want to see more of these videos, subscribe to the channel, and then leave me your favorite coin in the in the comments, and maybe I'll just run a bot on them. All right, everybody, thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.